What is going on, guys? JD from New York here. Monday Night Raw review for last night's show from South Carolina, 6/24/2013. Now, I want to thank everyone right off the bat for continuing to support my WWE content on this channel. I thank you all for the support for the WWE News and Rumors and the new format I wanted to go with. I'm going to try the same thing again this week with Monday Night Raw. I want to thank all those people that have subscribed to my YouTube channel, have joined me on Twitter and Facebook and Skype and all that stuff. So thank you very much. This is the easiest way to keep in touch with JD and all his YouTube happenings. So thank you very much, guys. But Monday Night Raw and WWE is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I don't remember when the last time was WWE had 3 or 4 great shows back to back. I don't know what's going on backstage with WWE Creative. I know the head of creative right now is on his way out the door. He's actually stepping down on his own. He's not getting fired. I don't know who's writing the shows, but as of last week, I know there was some input from Paul Heyman and Zeb Coulter, as I reported on my WWE News and Rumors. Now, if that is true, they should continue that way. Nobody knows the product more than the people that are out there every week. Nobody knows the product more than a guy like Paul Heyman. You know, Vince McMahon, I've always said, is out of touch. Stephanie McMahon, I trust her ability. I just don't think she has what it takes to lead the WWE every week to develop and deliver a great TV show. I just don't. Triple H is young. Triple H knows what the fans want. Triple H is still an in-ring performer. He knows what the people want to see. So I don't know if it's his influence that is, making these shows great on a weekly basis, but everything just seems to gel so well. And if you guys notice, we haven't seen John Cena. We haven't seen John Cena a lot on these shows, maybe one segment a week. And like I said a couple of weeks back, you keep John Cena off the show and let the new guys and the young guys take the ball and run with it, you're going to have a great show. Because nobody is complaining that John Cena is being oversaturated. Nobody's complaining that John Cena is being thrown down our throats. And the less we see of John Cena, everyone's going to be wondering, hey, what's John Cena up to? Who's he feuding with next? What's his next feud? So that's the whole thing with John Cena. But last night's show, guys, it opened up so well, with Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. Now, a lot of people said that having these guys fight 3 times in a row might have been a little overkill. Not in my opinion. Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton gel very well together in the ring. They work incredibly well together. All right. The show opened up with Daniel Bryan. He comes down and talks about how people have looked down on him because of his size and said that he was the weakest link. Now, Bryan said that those people are incredibly stupid because he's fought with Randy Orton twice now. Bryan isn't satisfied until he pins Orton or makes him submit. Bryan asks that he will do whatever it takes and then starts the yes chant. Then here comes Randy Orton down the aisle. Bryan is glad that Orton came out because Orton, grabs the mic and says that he came out to tell Daniel Bryan to his face to shut the hell up and just fight. They start brawling in the ring. Bryan knocks Orton out of the ring, and then Orton comes back, fighting outside the ring, and then the match officially starts. All right, they start brawling in the corner after the bell rings. There's a lot of back and forth action in this match. Orton tosses Bryan out to the floor, follows up with a clothesline, and then Orton continues to fight Bryan out on the outside, and then throws him over the announce table where the King, Michael Cole, and JBL are sitting, and then keeps up on the attack outside. Then all of a sudden the match is called. I don't know what the final decision was. I don't remember if I heard anything, but I believe it was a double disqualification. And then after that, we see Brad Maddox and Vicky Guerrero talking backstage. Bryan comes into Vicky's office and just starts screaming all over the place about a double disqualification. All right, Bryan wants the rematch with Orton later that night to settle the score. Finally, Maddox says that the show is completely booked. They have a very busy schedule. And then Bryan says, give him the match with Orton or give me the match with you. He points to Brad Maddox. Vicky grants Bryan the match with Randy Orton. And then Vince McMahon comes down and says that a lot of people don't think Bryan has what it takes to be a WWE star because of his size. Some people say that he's an embarrassment. I didn't like that segment at all. I just didn't like that segment. I don't know where Vince McMahon went with that segment or what the meaning behind that segment was. But Vince then says to Vicky, he like I said, he calls Daniel Bryan an embarrassment. And Vicky asks Vince what he thinks. And then he says that he'll let Vicky figure that out and walks off. But, I like the way the opening started. It started off very hot, very heavy, very personal between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. This is the way WWE needs to start off their Monday Night Raws. The WWE needs to start off their Monday Night Raws with something that's immediately going to grab the people's attention. Because last night you had the NHL Finals Game 7. So I don't know how many people were watching that, but you need people to start off with something that's been developing into a very decent program. And Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan was the perfect way this week. So hopefully the WWE continues that strong first hour, which the first hour has been very strong the last 3 weeks. And hopefully, like I said, they continue this pattern. But I enjoyed that first segment, and I think that was a great way to start the show. Next, we had Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow versus Sheamus and the returning Christian. The winners here were Sheamus and Christian. Sheamus comes in towards the end of the match and unloads on Sandow. Sheamus then forearms Sandow to the chest and the face. Sandow slides out of the white noise. Sheamus was trying to apply white noise to him and tags in Cody. Cody comes in right into the match and catches a bro kick immediately. And Sheamus and Christian go on to win that match. Nothing more than a typical tag team match just to continue the feud of Sheamus and Damien Sandow. Those two will be fighting on Friday Night SmackDown in a Dublin street fight. So that should be interesting on Friday Night SmackDown. Next we had Kaitlyn versus Oksana. Throwaway garbage match for the Divas. Kaitlyn won this. After the match, AJ comes out, cuts a promo on the stage, and runs Kaitlyn down and just belittling her again. Big E Langston comes out with flowers just to mimic the whole spot that they did a couple of weeks back where Big E Langston was revealed as the secret admirer for Kaitlyn. He and AJ recreate that scene on Raw a couple of weeks back where Big E dumped Kaitlyn. Layla holds Kaitlyn back in the ring. Apparently Layla was with Kaitlyn by ringside, but that was that. Nothing more than that. I believe they will be continuing their feud going into Money in the Bank. We will possibly be seeing a rematch at Money in the Bank, but it has not been announced yet. Next, we have Chris Jericho versus Alberto Del Rio. This was a very decent match as well. I like the way these two connect in the ring together as well. Chris Jericho and Alberto Del Rio fought last week. This is a rematch from last week. Chris Jericho won this match here by disqualification. Towards the end of this match, Del Rio blocks the Lion Salt with 2 knees to the chest. And then Del Rio locks in the cross arm breaker. At this point, I really thought it was over because I thought Jericho was actually going to tap and that they were going to give Del Rio the surprising victory over Jericho. But Jericho actually makes it to the ropes here and breaks the hold. Jericho gets the walls of Jericho locked in, but Ricardo Rodriguez all of a sudden just comes in with the run-in, disqualification, and hits Jericho with the bucket that he carries to the ring with Del Rio, and that causes the disqualification. Now, after the match is what is the most interesting part. After the match, Dolph Ziggler runs down and obviously attacks Del Rio. He's still pissed about the world title being taken off him at Payback. Jericho hits Ricardo with a code breaker. Ziggler then hits a zigzag on Del Rio, and then Jericho and Ziggler come face to face in the middle of the ring. Now, these two, I don't know if they're setting up an eventual feud down the line. I just don't know. But Jericho brushes right by Ziggler, says something to him under his breath, and then Ziggler all of a sudden, as soon as Jericho turns his back, hits him with the zigzag. Ziggler then poses in the ring as the music hits, and Jericho retreats to the back. Now, I would love it, and I know you guys would as well, if Dolph Ziggler, which I know he will anyway, if Dolph Ziggler wins the World Heavyweight Championship back, to have a feud between Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho. That's what I want to see. That's what would make and put that World Heavyweight Championship back on the map. It would bring some prestige back. Can you imagine a feud between those two for the World Heavyweight Championship? That would be the best thing on SmackDown all year if those two feuded. I know there's no separate brands, but you have it filter into SmackDown and showcase them more on Raw, and then, like I said, have it filter into SmackDown. That would be unbelievable. There's no contenders for the World Championship. Jack Swagger's garbage. He's out. You have Del Rio and Ziggler who I like this feud. I like it's got a sense of realism to it, and it makes sense. Everybody's saying that the reason why Del Rio did what he did is because he would do what any normal man would do to take the World Championship back and beat Ziggler. He would expose his weakness, and that's what he did. And I like that realism. And I like that Del Rio doesn't give a shit. You know, he did what he had to do. And that's what's making this feud, in my opinion. You know, you don't see that sense of realism when it comes to feuds like this. And that's what I like about that feud. But a Jericho-Ziggler feud is a money match. I would love it if that match took place at SummerSlam. But I know Jericho is not going to be at SummerSlam from what I'm hearing. He'll be on tour with Fozzy. So hopefully that's all just fabricated bullshit and we get a Chris Jericho vs. Dolph Ziggler match at SummerSlam. But the rumor right now is that Ziggler is finally going to capture that World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and he is rumored to win the SmackDown Money in the Bank briefcase at the pay-per-view in 3 weeks. Next up, we had Ryback versus the Great Khali, just a garbage throwaway match. This was expected. Ryback got the shell shock on Khali, 1, 2, 3. Move on, nothing more to see after that. Next, we had a number one contenders match for the Tag Team Championship. Tensai and Brodus Clay, Sweet T Tensai, versus the Usos versus 3MB, Jinder Mahal, and Drew McIntyre. Another throwaway match. Tensai and Brodus Clay are garbage. 3MB is a fucking joke, in my honest opinion. They just make you believe that WWE Tag Team Wrestling is just finished. I just fucking hate the group. They're just an embarrassment. But anyway, the Usos are the number one contenders for the Tag Team Championships. They will be getting a title shot against The Shield, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank. So I don't know if that's going to be in a special kind of ladder match or whatever, but they will be getting a tag team title match. And the rumors seem to be true. The Usos are being repackaged for a slight feud with The Shield going into Money in the Bank. And then obviously, we haven't heard from Kane this week. And I know The Undertaker's waiting in the wings, so hopefully all those rumors come true with the Brothers of Destruction versus The Shield at SummerSlam. You want a money match for SummerSlam, you already got Punk and Lesnar. You already got Bryan and Cena rumored. Undertaker and Kane versus The Shield, that's going to sell many pay-per-view, folks. Many a pay-per-view. Anyway, the highlight of the night was up next. Paul Heyman comes out, introduces himself to the crowd. Heyman says that for 7 days, everyone that he knows asked him about Brock Lesnar attacking CM Punk. Heyman says the best way to do this is to talk to CM Punk face-to-face with everyone watching. Heyman says he knows Punk has been looking for him and that Punk wants answers. CM Punk come down the aisle, and here we go. This is the moment we've all been waiting for to see what happens and what the answer is about Brock Lesnar last week. Now, Punk didn't drop a pipe bomb, with the microphone this week, but his speech was, one of those speeches where you're hanging on every fucking word he's saying. Punk comes out, talks about signing with the WWE back in 2005, talks about how Johnny Laurinaitis wanted him to go to the minor leagues where WWE Developmental was. Punk says at the time Heyman was in charge of WWE's developmental system. Punk mentioned about how everyone, including Vince McMahon, wanted to get rid of him, but Paul Heyman refused to fire him. Punk says Heyman saw something in him, believed in him, and had his back. He brought up how Heyman, that he was Heyman's first draft pick for ECW when WWE revitalized ECW on Sci-Fi. Punk didn't care that Brock Lesnar is bigger, stronger, because he knows that he's not better. Punk says that he's the best wrestler, not in the world, but on the planet. And Heyman knows it, but knows it better than anybody. Punk says that all because Heyman has Brock Lesnar there, you got Heyman and Lesnar. He's like, Brock has no balls, You have Heyman next to Brock Lesnar. He said Brock has no balls. He has no balls to be here. Punk says that he's going to do whatever it takes to bring Heyman's beast down. He also says this directly in Heyman's face, nose to nose. Punk knows that, what happened last week, it happened, okay? Punk says no matter what he heard, Heyman has never done him wrong. So then he gets down and dirty. He asks if Lesnar attacked him on his own or if Heyman ordered him to do it, okay? Punk then tells Heyman to tell the truth for the first time in his life. Heyman swears on his children he didn't know Lesnar would be here last week. Heyman said Lesnar fulfilled his contractual obligations to the WWE at Payback. Heyman didn't know he would be there last week. He said Punk picked a fight with Lesnar the moment he said Lesnar needed Heyman. Heyman says the professional jealousy between Punk and Lesnar has run deep for a very long time, and he kept the two apart because of that jealousy, that professional jealousy. Heyman goes on and says that he loves Punk, calling him his best friend. He says that he will do whatever it takes to keep this friendship alive, and he will never represent anyone against Punk, and that includes Lesnar. Heyman says Lesnar will have a problem with that, but that's not. But that's between the two. Heyman says that the fans want Punk to drop Heyman tonight, like everyone wanted Heyman to do Punk in 2005 and 2006. The fans start chanting GTS, but Punk says he's sorry he ever doubted Heyman, and then they hug right in the middle of the ring. They embrace, and CM Punk's music hits the PA system. Now, this angle, this moment, this segment on the show was great. Heyman delivered as always. Punk delivered as always. And I enjoyed the story and the backline for this feud. They didn't immediately mention Lesnar and Heyman working together against CM Punk. They didn't immediately give you a Heyman screw job on Punk. They gave you cold hard facts for this feud developing. Heyman said that Heyman said to Punk that Lesnar needed Punk, that Lesnar couldn't do anything on his own. That's all you needed. That's the one line that you hang on to there. That's a great way for Lesnar to just attack Punk. Because we all know Lesnar is a fucking caged animal. He'll do whatever he wants. He'll snap like that, like nothing. He'll do whatever he wants. That's all you need for this feud. Is Paul Heyman lying? Yeah, he's lying. You know there's going to be a complete turnaround by Paul Heyman. He's going to abandon CM Punk. He's going to reveal his true colors as we get towards the match, closer to the match. He's going to reveal himself to be aligned with Brock Lesnar. He's going to forget about CM Punk. That's when CM Punk's going to become a full-blown face. He's going to be like that Stone Cold type. He's going to be that Rebel type. And then we're going to get the match between Lesnar and Punk at SummerSlam. But this is a great way to start this feud off, and I really enjoyed this segment. Everything was done well. The crowd started chanting, "We want wrestling." That was the only thing I didn't like about this segment. For the fucking fans in South Carolina to start chanting that when you got two fucking talents in the ring delivering gold on the mic, you start chanting, "We want wrestling"? No. It comes a line between wrestling and then fucking respect. You know, let them develop the storyline. I hate when the crowds and the people do that because they don't know what they have in front of them when it's actually happening. That was the only thing I take away that was negative from that segment. The fucking crowd in South Carolina. It's so stupid. But anyway, this led into a Darren Young CM Punk match. CM Punk won this match with the GTS, and then Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, the primetime players, 2-on-1 against CM Punk. Out comes Curtis Axel to make the save. Punk was obviously ticked off that Curtis Axel came down. He said he didn't need any help. He could take care of the 2-on-1 by himself. Heyman said, "Listen, we'll talk about this in the back." Curtis Axel came to make the save. It's 2-on-1. You know, what do you want me to do? You want me to get, leave you just to get beat up by two guys? So obviously, Punk was upset by that. They booked the match next week, CM Punk and Curtis Axel versus the primetime players. So that should be interesting to see. Curtis Axel and CM Punk teaming up, guys. That's going to be interesting. So that's going to take place next week on Monday Night Raw. Stephanie McMahon then comes out, and this is where she announced the ladder match participants for the Money in the Bank ladder match for Monday Night Raw. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Christian, Kane, and the returning Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match for the Monday Night Raw side. That's going to be a great match. That's some of the best participants you probably find anywhere in a Money in the Bank match. So that's going to be incredible to watch. So I can't wait for that. Rob Van Dam's coming back. My pick to win that, Daniel Bryan. Ryback then walks into Vicky's office and says that he should be in the Money in the Bank match. Cancel Cena versus Mark Henry. Give him the rematch for the WWE Championship. Chris Jericho walks in, wants to be in the ladder match. Said that he's been in more ladder matches than anybody. Ryback and Jericho have words face to face. And then all of a sudden, Vicky books Ryback for Chris Jericho for Money in the Bank. I don't know how that all of a sudden materialized. Jericho's been fighting Del Rio, and then all of a sudden gets thrown into a match with Ryback. I don't know what the reasoning behind this is, but hopefully we'll find out more in the last 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, because I'm slightly confused on that. Mark Henry comes out and cuts a promo, says that he's fooled by everyone last week. Henry laughs. Henry says that he's been nominated for an Academy Award, joking around, that he's been contacted by all these big names in Hollywood. Henry says he's not apologizing to anyone for using people and doing what he did last week. Henry talks about how a mean, no-good Mark Henry is coming, and that Money in the Bank will see the return of that, and that he will win the WWE Championship. Henry's performance last week was off the charts. It was amazing. You know, John Cena and Mark Henry, I think are going to have a decent match at the pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, in a couple of weeks. Do I see Mark Henry winning the WWE Championship? Fuck no. John Cena's going to retain that belt. He's going to overcome all the odds again this summer. And then hopefully the rumors are true. Daniel Bryan versus John Cena at SummerSlam 2013. And finally, guys, the main event, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton, the rematch from earlier in the night. This match was a street fight. All right, Daniel Bryan comes out first. Randy Orton comes out second. They go at it in the ring. You know, I'm not going to go through the whole match here, but in the end, this match was very entertaining. A great way to end the show. Daniel Bryan has a kendo stick towards the end of the match and just starts beating Randy Orton with it. Bryan alternates kendo shots and kicks. The crowd's going crazy. Orton catches Bryan and throws him into the bottom part of a table. Tables were being tossed around the ring. There was, Bryan and Orton, both respectively went through tables. It was a hardcore match. It was pretty good. Surprising I've seen that kind of action on Monday Night Raw. Bryan throws Orton into the bottom half of a table. Orton kicks out at a 2 count. Bryan unloads, but Orton drops him with a drop kick. Beautiful drop kick. Orton, one of the best in the business. They go about fighting again, and then they go up to the top rope for a superplex, but Bryan sends Orton to the mat off the top rope. Bryan comes off the top rope with a drop kick, but Orton counters with a powerbomb, which was a great segment. That was a close 2 count. Bryan goes for the no lock. Orton breaks the hold with a kendo stick. Orton is beating Bryan with the stick right now, and then all of a sudden Orton hits the second rope draping DDT, one of his signature moves. Orton calls for the RKO, but Bryan backslides him for a 2 count. That was a great part of the match. Bryan with a kick and more kendo shots. Then Bryan goes for the no lock and applies it. Randy Orton is struggling to reach that kendo stick that's only fingertips away. He grabs the kendo stick, starts hitting Daniel Bryan in the shoulder with the kendo stick, but Bryan blocks it, grabs the kendo stick from Orton's hands, and all of a sudden applies the no lock with the kendo stick on Orton's face, taps out, and he gets the win over Randy Orton. Great way to end the show. Crowd's going crazy. And, yes chants all over the place. And this is the point, folks. If you're not a fan of Daniel Bryan, you better start believing. You better start believing about Daniel Bryan. This is going to be your future of the company. He is going to win that Money in the Bank ladder match. He's going to go on to show you why he is not the weak link, and he's going to cash in the traditional way at SummerSlam against John Cena. After the match, Bryan is celebrating in the corner. Orton approaches him. I thought he was going to attack him. Bryan turns around, and they face eye to eye, and then they shake hands. Some of the fans chant, "You tapped out," but Orton leaves the ring in disgust, shook Bryan's hand, a nice gesture of sportsmanship. Bryan starts a yes chant, crowd's going crazy, his music hits, and Raw goes off the air. Great show, guys. This is the 4th week in a row. I can honestly say I enjoyed Monday Night Raw. I hope you enjoyed this Monday Night Raw recap and review. If you guys enjoyed, subscribe, hit that like button, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. You guys know what to do. I will be back later this week with your week in review WWE news and rumors, all the happenings this week within the WWE, guys. I'm out. Take care, and I will talk to you all very soon.